Well, good morning, everyone. We are back to NFL Fantasy Matchup. Week 10 is here as usual. I'm here with Jed and Jimmy, Phoenix, as well as the suburb of Illinois. Welcome, everyone.
Morning.
Week 10.
All right,
Yeah.
before we start and all that stuff, let me ask you a quick question. Chicago, all of us are from Chicago. They are now having their first official speed race, NASCAR speed race on the streets of Lake Michigan, on Lakeshore Drive. All right, tickets went on sale yesterday. They are the highest ticket they could get is anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000.
Wow.
You pay to sit there and watch speed racing, NASCAR speed racing, all throughout Lakeshore Drive.
I wouldn't, but that's cool. I didn't even know, Tommy. That's cool.
Yeah. I think I would, because I know that when they were looking at the plans, so I think they signed a 2 or 3 year deal with the city of Chicago. This is very similar to the deal that they signed with Lollapalooza, and I actually think that if you buy the tickets now, they'll escalate. They'll really grow as you get closer. Because right now people are like, "Oh yeah, it's great," but once you see that the city is kind of planning for it, I think it'll be great.
Yeah. Hey, I'm thinking after this, I may buy the lower tier right now is about 200. That's probably the lowest tickets that you probably could get.
Yeah.
So I may buy a couple and see what happens. But the problem is the aldermen. Some of the aldermen are getting frustrated because the mayor did not inform them before she made this deal. And so I think if my memory serves me correctly, they get an upfront lump sum of $500,000, 15% of all concession sales, but $2 for a ticket. I said $2 for a ticket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a mistake.
It's the same deal they signed with Lollapalooza, and I think I remember reading it. The aldermen were saying that they are so. I mean, it's all politics at the end of the day, But they did say that NASCAR got the better end of the deal. Which, quite honestly, if you look at it, you're right. How the heck did you not get more out of it? So,
like I would probably have even asked for a percentage of 20% or 15% or something like that of the ticket sales. 15% I can understand concession. $500,000 up front, but I would probably have asked for a percentage of maybe even some of the television rights, as well as some of the ticket sales. That's what.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that under the contract they have to pay for all the police, they have to pay for all of these other things too. But yeah, they could have gotten more out of their money.
Yeah. Another situation that happened is I'm not sure if you guys saw the Adam Schefter shirtless thing over on Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. Did you hear the other thing that happened because of Twitter?
No, what happened?
So ever since Elon Musk took over Twitter, he says that you could pay $8 and be certified. Well, a fake Adam Schefter signed up and paid the $8 and reported that they reported that the Las Vegas Raiders head coach has been fired.
Impressive.
Yeah, so there's oh my gosh. You paid the $8 a month and now they're verified.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Another thing, Justin Fields. If you have Justin Fields and you pick him off the waiver, who would you even start him ahead of? Like, which quarterbacks would you not start if you had Justin Fields? I know for a fact that a lot of times, is it Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, anyone else?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a better question is, who starts in front of him? And that list is very short. Like every ranking list I'm looking at, he's in the top 5. So there's basically only 3 or 4 quarterbacks you would start ahead of him, which is crazy, right? Just 2 weeks ago, you could have had him for nothing. And now everyone's like on board. But they are playing Detroit this week, so it should be good for him.
I mean, for sure, right? This week, I would start him over Josh Allen because Josh Allen is 50-50 whether or not he'll play.
Yeah, sure.
Even if he plays with the elbow, he's not going to be what Justin Fields potentially can give you. So for sure, I'll start him over Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah, agree.
Yeah. Hey, but I think a lot of times against Detroit, right? I think all of us have high hopes against them. Do you feel like after Detroit wants to play stronger teams, what do you think of him going forward?
Yeah, it just depends on the defense. I mean, I don't know. I'm I loved obviously last week, but we got to see the continued progression, and we got to see how did Chase Claypool do last week. I didn't even see that.
He didn't play that much. He had 9 fantasy points, but they were just
Okay.
they'll say that were just trying to get him going.
Yeah,
So they
ease him
didn't give
in.
him much
Yeah.
what do you call it? They didn't give him much of the plays, but he actually was on the field. I think it was like almost 70% of the snaps he was on the field.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
sign.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, Cole Kmet is the bear to own at this point right now if you're looking for a tight end.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hey, last night's game. Did anyone watch last night's game, or were you watching NBA?
I watched the NBA, but I was surprised Deontay Foreman did so well. So there's two people that I'm looking out for. Deontay Foreman, I actually do think that he's kind of solidified not just starting position for this year, but for next year. And then the other person who's the number 2 receiver, Terrace Marshall, is actually pretty good. He actually had one big play for 43 yards. And actually, like if you're in a dynasty league or you're in a league where it's 12 teams, he's actually worth a flyer to pick up as that number 2 receiver.
Yeah, last night Deontay Foreman. We're playing. Jimmy and I play with the league with all of our close friends for the last 15 years in the same league, and so a lot of times I Deontay Foreman. I have to win this week. Now my quarterback Joe Burrow is sitting, so I'm stuck playing Tom Brady, and so a lot of times I'm going to struggle. But I really need Foreman to really be able to do well. 31 catches, 130 yards, 1 touchdown. Hey, look, he got all the way to the 2-yard line with 2 minutes left. I wanted that second touchdown, but yet at the same time, because of a holding penalty, it was called back, and as a result, they kicked the field goal and game over as well too. But Deontay Foreman has been very, very good.
By the way, Tom, speaking of that league, so with that league, we have our friend Jalen. Jalen's on our basketball league. He really wants Damian Lillard. So I was like, Jalen, let's work out a deal. You give me a good player on the football, I'll give you Damian Lillard.
Oh,
but
man.
We couldn't figure it out. So that's what we were texting back and forth last night.
Oh, that's
because I was trying to convince him to give me a Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, cross-league trade.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Now, at the same time, also, one of the things that I heard Troy Aikman say, Kyle Pitts had 2 catches for 28 yards. And toward the end, Troy Aikman says clearly, Mariota and Kyle Pitts somehow have this huge disconnect. They do not look like they're on the same page. They do not look like they're in sync. Nothing as well, too. And you've seen it. I mean, I've seen Kyle Pitts beginning to be dropped in different places. A lot of times, Darren Waller, because of his injured reserve, is being dropped in different places as well, too. I mean, is there anyone that you guys like on this Atlanta Falcons team?
I've dropped them. I've dropped them in 2 leagues, not the dynasty league, because I've kept them in the dynasty league. But I've dropped them, right? Like, because you guys said, look, there's Freiermuth, there's Dawson Knox, there's Cole Kmet. There's a lot of other decent that tight end from Denver. There's a lot of good, better tight ends than Kyle Pitts right now.
Jed, for you, a lot of times, which game excites you this week? Which games are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I was just starting to go through. So we have the game in Germany, right? Seattle versus Tampa Bay. Tampa is a 2.5-point favorite. I actually like Seattle in that game. But that's an interesting one just to see if Tampa can kind of turn things around and if Seattle is really as good as we think Geno Smith is. Another interesting, at least betting wise one, is Jacksonville and Kansas City. Kansas City is a 9-point favorite. I've been hitting a lot of these, like double-digit spreads and then picking the underdog. And I just think Jacksonville's stronger than that. So I don't know. That's a tough one, but that's one I would look at. And then the last one I'll mention, you have the Cowboys and the Packers. Cowboys at Lambeau Field. Cowboys are 4.5-point favorite. But remember, this is Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys coach, coming back to Green Bay. I think he's going to lay the lumber. So I'm taking the Cowboys in that one. I think he's going to want to really just up the score. And I don't think the Packers are looking very good at all.
Well, I mean, the Packers have nobody, right? They've got Lazard. Dobbs is out.
A.J. Dillon.
Is AJ Dillon out? Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is probably
Aaron Jones skipped another. It was very limited in practice this week. If he plays, I don't know how well he'll do. So they have nobody. And with Aaron Rodgers making all these mistakes right now, like they can't afford to keep losing more people.
Is your outlook on Tony Pollard as well as Ezekiel Elliott? Ezekiel Elliott is probably going to play this week. Are you going to see a split share between those two? Or are you going to see Tony Pollard outdistance? What would you say?
I think it's going to be a 60-40 split, right? I think that Elliott's going to play. My guess is they're going to say we're going to try to take him slow, and they're going to feed the ball to Pollard. I still think that Pollard will get a bulk of the shares. He'll get double-digit fantasy points, but his numbers will be. It's not what it was a couple weeks ago when Elliott was out.
Yeah, Chad, St. Louis Rams quarterback.
Wait, actually, can I say something as I was talking about that? So, okay, don't you guys think Pollard, if you have him on your team, he's worth a dynasty keep at this point?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. I think he's like an Eckler type of player. So if next year something happens to Elliott, he's like an Eckler type. He'll score some points next year.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times you look at Pollard, you look at Cook. I would probably say the one person that I am thinking about dropping, and if you had him as a dynasty, Alvin Kamara would probably be someone that I would have to re-look at it. But I think a lot of times Tony Pollard is very good as a.
My dynasty, I'm re-looking at Justin Herbert because I was like, I could get another decent quarterback like a Joe Burrows or something like that too. So I'm thinking about dropping him this year.
Jed, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford does not look good playing. If he does not play, John Wolford will be playing outside of Cooper Kupp. Is there anyone in the Rams that you would play if John Wolford starts?
No. Gerald Everett. I mean, I think at the tight end.
Gerald Everett is with the Chargers.
Oh, it's with the Chargers. That's right.
Higbee. You're talking about Higbee. Higbee. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Higbee, maybe. No, not Higbee. I like Everett on the Chargers. But no, actually, no. And that's an interesting game, though. I do think there's gonna be a lot because they're playing Arizona, so there's gonna be a lot of scoring.
But who the heck is this backup quarterback? I was like, even Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has actually had some decent numbers, but they have no running game. No one even knows who their number 2 receiver is. So outside Cooper Kupp, I don't think you want to play anybody else.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks, guys, if you saw him on the waivers, would any of you guys pick him up?
Brandon, he's still with Houston, right? Is he not? He's
still with Houston,
anything, right? Yeah.
He has a injury.
Oh, okay. Oh, he just doesn't want to play. Yeah, I know he's upset because he didn't get traded. So, if somebody dropped him, that's an interesting one if he can get over that. But they're playing the Giants. I don't know. That's a tough one. Probably not.
Yeah. No, I don't know why they just didn't trade him, even for like a 5th or 6th rounder,
Yeah.
But I think they were holding out. By the way, this time last year in our Walter White League, this was when I won the league because someone dropped AJ Brown at the last minute. So that's why I always scan these waiver wires because you never know who people end up dropping.
Yeah. In terms of actually, I'm looking at another thing. Give me 1 minute. I just froze over here as well too. DeAndre Swift. You guys like DeAndre Swift this week against the Bears? I tend to play Jamal Williams, but if DeAndre Swift is on the team, he's only gotten maybe 3 carries inside the 10-yard line. He's been limited. He didn't play very many plays last week. What do you think? Is he someone you're going to start or sit?
I think the running back you want to own between those two is Jamal Williams. He's a big back. He's the better running back this year. And my guess is he'll get all the goal line stances. My guess is he'll come away with at least 1 or 2 touchdowns this week. But DeAndre, they might use him from receiving, but they're not going to use him in the red zone.
I would play Swift.
More than Jamal Williams.
Maybe not over Jamal Williams, but I would still play Swift if I had him. It's just like a Pollard situation. Even though Zeke Elliott is playing, I'd play both of them. They're playing the Bears. There's going to be a lot of points. The Bears are down their 2 best defensive players. The defense they can run on the defense. So I'm expecting Detroit to put up significant points. So I don't know. I would play them both.
Yeah. Miami Dolphins, Jed, who's the running back to own these days? Jeff Wilson Jr.
Oh,
Mostert.
Yeah, no, I like Wilson Jr. That was my big pickup last week, and I was able to get him in a couple leagues. So I'm very happy about that. I think I think Jeff Wilson looked definitely more spry, definitely had more pep. So that's the guy I'd want to own.
Jim, Miami Dolphins are playing the 3-5 Browns. I see Deshaun Watson moving up into clumsy ad.
Tommy sold his soul and picked up Deshaun Watson.
I
No,
did pick up Deshaun Watson.
It's you know what, Deshaun Watson is not worth it for me, right? Like he's coming in 2 weeks. We've got another 2 weeks before the playoffs start. Unless you really need a quarterback and you're desperate for a quarterback, for me, he's not worth the speculative ad.
Tommy, if you trade him, then I will forgive you. But if
Mhm.
you keep him and play him, I actually, so here's how crazy I am. I thought about picking him up in leagues just to stash him on my bench so that nobody would use him, because I just cannot stand the idea of somebody winning because they picked up Deshaun Watson.
See, I think here's how I kind of look at it, right? Is if you're wanting to win the playoffs, is Deshaun Watson really going to get to the point where he's going to be able to help you win the league, right? There's some other players out there, for instance, like Miko Hardman, a Kadarius Toney, who could have the potential of being your wide receiver. And for me, I'd much rather take the chance on one of those guys than Deshaun Watson right now.
Yeah, but I could totally see any team that is pretty, let's say you're pretty stacked. The only position you don't have really well covered is quarterback. And you're sitting there and you've got, let's say, I don't know, like a Matt Stafford or a Tom Brady, as your quarterback, then man, Deshaun Watson is worth it, because even if he has a little bit of rust, he's going to outperform those guys just with his legs. So I think
he's been out for 2 years, right? Like I was like, I don't know.
No, top 5 player, man. I expect him
top 5.
Well, leading up until those 2 years, for sure, he was top 5 for at least 4 or 5 years running. I mean, this guy is an incredible talent. So I don't doubt there will be people who will pick him up and will bite, and I don't doubt that it'll help them. But it just drives me nuts to think that that's the case.
I mean, you do bring one point, right? Like, as we're heading into the second part of the like heading into playoffs, you're going to start seeing unlikely players that you did not draft in the first and second rounds playing pivotal roles, right? As just so that you can win your league. And so it's a matter of, okay, looking to see who are some of those players who are taking over starting positions. Like, okay, a Mooney, right? A Darnell Mooney is actually worth a lot right now because he could potentially give you double-digit fantasy points, and he's starting to rise at the right point. So who are some of those players that you want to pick up that's going to help you win your league?
Let me actually go to one quick game. Minnesota Vikings versus Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has that elbow injury that he got hurt near the end of the game. If he's not in, backup quarterback, they are 3.5-point favorite against the Minnesota Vikings. If Josh Allen plays, do you like the Vikings in this one?
If Josh Allen plays, if Josh Allen plays, no, I like the Bills in this one.
If he does not play,
but if he does not play, then I like the Vikings. I think the Vikings still, everyone last week, with Hawkinson coming in was excited, and I think they were still kind of working things out. I still think that it's going to ultimately really free up Justin Jefferson is what I'm hoping. So I think the Vikings could definitely win it without Allen there.
No, I actually think that even if Josh Allen plays, remember, he's limited with his elbow. This was almost the same injury that knocked him out for 3 to 4 games last year. I think they're going to try to if he's playing, they're going to try to focus on the running game. They're not going to do any long passes. They're going to do short passes. I still would pick I would pick the Vikings over the Bills.
Yeah. Jim, LA Chargers versus the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of times, look, we saw exactly what's happening with the 49ers. We don't know if Deebo Samuel is going to be playing. But the Chargers, with Keenan Allen possibly going to be out again, Mike Williams definitely going to be out. Who's your next one? Is it the wide receiver Jordan that you like? Yeah,
I think Palmer's one of those players that I think is gonna. Palmer's gonna emerge as one of those waiver wire pickups that you're gonna need, right? So I actually think he'll be good. The person that I'm a little weary of, I have Justin Herbert in a number of teams. Justin Herbert hasn't thrown for more than 2 touchdowns in any games in the last few games, right? And so that's somebody that you want to worry about. But Palmer's gonna, and so actually, going back to this argument earlier, I'm playing Justin Fields over Justin Herbert this week because I think Justin Fields will have the potential of giving me better numbers than Herbert will.
Let's go through a couple of starts. Sid, Jen, I'll start with you. If you're looking for a quarterback, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, they're not doing well. are you gonna go? Here's a list of your backup in case the ones that you're looking at. Do you like a Trevor Lawrence? Do you like a Jacoby Brissett? Or do you like a Andy Dalton? Which one would you pick?
Oh, I like Trevor Lawrence because they're playing the Chiefs. That's going to be a shootout. So I expect them to have to throw a lot, and you can always just get a cheap touchdown by dropping down to ETM. So I would take Lawrence in there. The one you didn't mention, maybe because people would have him, is Daniel Jones up in with the Giants because they're playing Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're playing Houston. That's probably a pretty decent pickup. I could see Jones having a really good game.
That's actually a good idea in terms of Daniel Jones. Yep.
See, no,
Thanks,
okay,
Tommy.
so here's who I would pick. If I really needed a quarterback, I go straight to Jimmy G. He's not going to get you a lot of points, but he's a consistent 18 to 20 points every week, and you know they're going to score. So if I were to pick anybody, I'd pick him.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. If you had Jimmy G sitting there or Tom Brady, who would you play then?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady has not been looking good. I mean, except basically last week he saved his points with that last second touchdown. If he didn't get that, he would have had a horrible week.
I mean, no, think about it. Jimmy G, he's got since week 4, right? He's got 18 points, 18 points, 17 points, 17 points, right? This week he's projected to score against the Chargers another 18 points. That's pretty consistent from your quarterback.
The only thing is he on the waivers? I haven't seen him on the waivers.
No, actually, I see him on quite still a decent number of waivers. Okay. Yeah.
Jimmy G. No, I think I know exactly. Jimmy G or Aaron Rodgers then.
Jimmy G. Yeah, for
Dude,
sure.
Aaron Rodgers is
Aaron Rodgers is nobody.
The last 4 weeks have been horrible for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? Here's the thing. With Rodgers, I could see him somehow, right, against the Cowboys, against his old coach coming in. There was a part of me that was like, man, Rodgers is going to be really motivated to play well this week. But still, even if he has no one to throw to, it doesn't matter how motivated he is. The ball's going to bounce off people's hands. So.
All right. Now, Jed, you need to find tight ends. I'll just start going to you and now as Jimmy. Which tight ends would you play? Njoku, Everett, or Hurst? Which one would you start?
Ooh, it's nice having Njoku back. He definitely looked good before he went down. I told you I was, that Everett's the guy that I've been playing lately, and he's playing the 49ers. That's a tough one. I think I might go with Njoku if you could get him.
Yeah. He's actually still on waiver wires because people, I don't know if a lot of people realize he's coming back. Yeah. Njoku, I would say I would pick him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, the last couple of games, Juju Smith-Schuster has been doing very, very well. The last couple of games, he's gotten 19 points, 22 points, 16 points. Mm-hmm. Is he someone that you're going to play or at the same time, a Terry McLaurin?
No, I don't think Terry McLaurin. I'll say this. Juju has really kind of emerged as that number one receiver for Patrick Mahomes. And he's actually been pretty good and pretty consistent. Outside of that, Kadarius Toney might be somebody you might look at. Miko Hardman, but clearly I think Smith-Schuster has really kind of emerged. McLaurin has been hard, right? Like last week he had 10 points, but he always gets up. Like he hasn't been consistent with Heineke. And I think part of it is Heineke has just not been consistent as well too. If there's one person I pick up from Washington, funny enough, it's Antonio Gibson because he's actually somewhat been decent lately.
Jim, you and I made that trade for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Chris Olave for Jamar Chase. Who's going to have a better game, Olave or St. Brown?
I actually think St. Brown because they're playing the Bears, and like Jed said, right, the defense for the Bears are not that good because they traded away all their best players. So that's why I'm willing to take the chance on St. Brown. And then with Olave, Olave's got. How about this? I think he will be a better fantasy player if Winston were to play. But I think with Dalton's just, he makes too many mistakes. And there are some really good games he's got. But I don't know if the Saints have been really consistent in terms of what their strategy is. Like even, I think I saw that you dropped Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill has tons of potential. They were talking about him last week in the game about how they should utilize him more, but the Saints just have not used him. And so as a result, like there are some games he's been great, but a lot of games he's scored 4 or 5 points, nothing major.
Do you guys know why they went away from Winston in the first place? Like, or why is he
Too
not
many
getting a
interceptions.
chance?
Too many interceptions. Well, he was out for a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they brought him in a couple of times when Dalton
Yeah.
makes mistakes. But again, I'm like, you got to be consistent in your strategy.
Yeah. For me, it came to a point. I love Taysom Hill. I like the very fact that he can throw, and he did get me that 34-point game one day.
Yeah.
But Cole Kmet was sitting there on waivers, so he came down to Taysom Hill or Cole Kmet. Forget it. I'm going with Cole Kmet.
No, but watch. They're going to have all these. I can see a game where Dalton's out, Winston's going to be out, and then Taysom Hill comes in, right? And can you imagine a tight end getting some quarterback numbers? And Taysom Hill's not bad. I mean, he's not the best quarterback in the world, but he's decent.
But those are things that you're trying to make, your decisions. I'm 3-6 at this point right now. If I was up, I could deal with the up and down and the potential and the risk and all the other stuff. So I just need points right now. So Cole Kmet became in for me. Now, again, with that said, watch him get 20 points for me. Be doing a 60 out here or running for 30 yards.
Okay. Hey, I've been looking at the waiver wire as we're talking. Would you guys pick up Elijah Mitchell if you had
Ooh.
Because he's out there in a lot of leagues. I've been looking around. Elijah Mitchell is out there, and somebody I think that would do well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Probably people just forgot him coming back from injury.
Yeah,
because a lot of times, hey, we all know Christian McCaffrey. He, as well as he did with 3 touchdowns, he will get injured, and so as a result, you're going to have to lean on Elijah Mitchell. So if you have spot and you have someone like a Pachenko sitting there, I would go with Elijah Mitchell.
That's the one mistake. I thought Pacheco would do well. There was one league, and I made such a stupid mistake. I dropped D'Onta Foreman for Pacheco because I was all about Pacheco. Now I'm kicking myself because that was such a stupid mistake.
Yeah. Jed, Pittsburgh Steelers, Deontay Johnson. Are you even willing to play Deontay Johnson at this point right now? And let's say, for instance, here's another player, Jerry Jeudy. Would you play Deontay Johnson or Jerry Jeudy?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I still think maybe you give Deontay. I know, honestly, I don't know. Maybe neither. Actually. I feel like it's just too hard to tell with Deontay Johnson or with Jerry Jeudy. I mean, the Broncos are so, who knows what's going on. So I don't know.
No, I don't know if you can trust any of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think, who was it, Jed? I think I saw you picked up Jaylen Warren, right?
Yes.
No, I mean, like, that's actually, if I was in first place, that's actually a decently smart move because it's not like Najee Harris is doing anything. He's averaging 3 yards a carry, which is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And Jaylen Warren is actually starting to take some of the snaps. I'm not saying he's going to replace what do you call that? What's his name? Najee Harris as starting running back. But I think if they're going to do anything this year, they're going to have to rely on Jaylen Warren as well as because neither Deontay Johnson or Najee Harris is doing anything right now.
Exactly. So, I mean, again, important context is that I'm in a good position in that league. So I'm in like 3rd place. I'm cruising into the playoffs. So I'm thinking about picking up players who in 2, 3, 4 weeks might turn out to be a starter. And if that's the case, they could be in my flex position and really help me out through the playoffs. So it's funny you saw me pick that up.
Like Cam Akers.
Yes, like Cam Akers, if you believe in him, but I don't believe in him.
I still have high hopes with him and J.K.
You never know. You never know, Tommy. He could, I mean, that's why I love fantasy. So if you look at my team in that league, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, and Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
I mean, those are not guys that people drafted super high. I mean, yes, Travis Etienne maybe, but it's not guys you expected in the top 10 in the beginning, and now they are. And so you just have to be able to try to think through like what happens.
Yeah. So my friend Jalen and I yesterday, and I know he listens to this podcast, we were talking about, he was telling me his strategy. He said, I'm going to go hard after the 3 top receivers. So he picked up like Jefferson, Chase, whoever, right? And I'm going to try to find somebody like an ETN or somebody, lower, and I'm going to bank that they're going to do well. And he's in first place,
Yeah.
So he's like, that strategy actually worked for me pretty well this year.
Yeah, another strategy that helped a lot of folks is a lot of first place teams have, if you had either AJ Brown or Tyreek Hill, who were both drafted really in the second, like towards the end of the second round into the third. So they have outproduced a lot of the receivers picked ahead of them. So that's been another.
I mean, think about it. Can you imagine if, let's just say you went all in and had Josh Allen, but then you brought in like an AJ Brown, a Tyreek Hill, then a Kenneth Walker, a Pierce, and then an ETN, you'd be rolling in it.
Yeah, and somewhere along the way, you picked up Justin Fields because you had these good wide receivers.
Yeah.
If you look at the strategy that Charlene has, look, she has Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and I think one more person. I don't even remember who the other one is. But somehow or another, she picked up Russell Wilson and now landed Justin Fields, which is not bad.
I know that. I know Tommy keeps wanting to get my Travis Etienne for me, so he keeps sending me deals for it.
Yeah, he's a fun player to own too, because he's like the early stages of a LT, someone who can run and catch out of the backfield. So it's great.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of that, Jim, I know a lot of times you own a lot of Leonard Fournette. Is it time to pick up Rashad White?
I actually like White. I don't have space. I don't have the time to take a chance on him. But Fournette, if you've watched what he's been doing, he looks old, and maybe it's indicative of what's going on with the Tampa Bay offense. Like, he'll usually get 4 or 5 points, like going into the third quarter, and then he might have one big run or a touchdown, and then all of a sudden that vaults him into double-digit fantasy points. But he's so inconsistent right now. I do think that at some point, I don't know if it's this year, but at least next year, I think they're going to start using White even more.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, let's talk a few minutes about NBA basketball. Jim, I'll start with you. Which player are you looking at? Which player are you excited about? Which player stands out to you, whether on the waiver wire or on your team?
Who's actually doing pretty good for me? Manute Bol's son, Bol. He's actually, he's a decent pickup. He's low on it, but he'll give you blocks. He's been scoring pretty decently, so I actually really like him. The other person I've been eyeing is Cameron Payne. He took over for Chris Paul. And so yesterday he scored 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. And he's the point guard right now. He's actually doing pretty good.
Jed, what about you?
Yeah, I'm super excited because in our league, I don't know if you guys saw this. I picked up Spencer Dinwiddie, dropped him, and last night he had 33 points. So I was like, dude, whoever dropped him, that was a mistake, man. So
that was me.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, hey, I can't believe he's sitting out there, but I'll take him.
Yeah, Spencer. But don't you think a lot of times Spencer Dinwiddie is inconsistent?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, but that was a really nice, it was a nice pickup just for a day. But we'll see. But Tommy, that makes sense that you of all teams would have dropped him because your team is so loaded. You do not need someone like him. That's like bottom feeder for you. For the rest of us, we have to play players like Spencer Dinwiddie.
It came down to Spencer Dinwiddie or Keegan Murray. I said, I'll keep Keegan Murray for a while.
Yeah, that's good.
You don't like Keegan Murray? I actually like Keegan Murray a lot. I actually think
he's been scoring in single-digit points the last couple for last week or so. So I've been wanting to get rid of him. I also have the 2 San Diego Spurs players, Vaso as well as Johnson. That eventually, my biggest get is I traded Shai Alexander for Jamar Murray, for Keldon Johnson, and also who's the other guy from Milwaukee who's injured?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The little point guard, right?
Nope, I traded him.
Oh, the small forward. Small forward. Middleton. Yeah. Yesterday, I was trying to work out a trade for Lillard for Halliburton and somebody else. Oh, Halliburton. Yeah, Halliburton, somebody else. So, because I like Halliburton. Yeah.
Hey, for those who are watching or paying attention, take a look at Brook Lopez. If he's somehow being dropped, Brook Lopez has been amazing for me. He has been
playing in Milwaukee right now.
Yeah, but the blocks, forget the points, forget the 3-pointer. It's the blocks. The last couple of blocks, 5 blocks, 2 blocks, 1, 2, 2, 3, 6. I mean, he gets me a lot of blocks. He's like Miles Turner.
I don't understand how the IL works in that league. I don't know if I have like 4 guys on IL because like there's this IL plus designation now. Like,
really? I have no idea what IL plus is.
Yeah, like how come they let you do that now? Like it doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be a limit to the number of IL, but I don't get it.
Yeah, and one day I should look at what IL plus is because I have zero clue. I said, what is this IL plus?
Actually, there's another player that I'm pretty excited about, Jed. You should pick him up. Grayson Allen, 18 points,
Ha!
3 rebounds,
No.
six assists.
Deshaun Watson and then Grayson Allen. That's the order.
He's
Dude,
been doing pretty good, Grayson Allen.
You know the story of Grayson Allen, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man. We cannot support Grayson Allen. No.
Yeah.
2 more random thoughts as well, too. Kyrie Irving. Do you think he'll ever come back?
I hope so. I was reading more about the stuff. I mean, the guy is an idiot, like totally an idiot. But I also don't, I think he's like, I don't know. I don't think it's like it's coming from like a bad place. He's just an idiot, right? Like to say, oh, I can tweet out a link to this movie and that doesn't mean I support it. Like that doesn't mean I agree with it, but you tweeted it out there. I mean, it's like you have to be a little bit more, just have a little more common sense than that. But I genuinely don't think that he's, anti-Jew in his thought process.
No, you know who I think is an idiot? LeBron James. Because LeBron James came out yesterday supporting Kyrie Irving. And I'm like, you're so two-faced sometimes, because if somebody else were to do it, you're going to come out and just say and start criticizing them. Here, you're saying, no, Kyrie has the right to say whatever he wants. I'm like, don't do that. And I was like, I can't. You know what? I am so glad the Lakers suck, because
the Lakers are so bad.
They are so bad, right?
So bad. Yeah.
Anthony Davis can't do anything. LeBron can't do anything. I mean, their best player is Lonnie Walker these days.
Remember when Chicago was trying to trade for Anthony Davis?
No, I hate Anthony Davis.
That was, man, that would have been a major mistake.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I know a lot of times we never talk about politics, but I will say something about politics since it applies to football. Herschel Walker, he's in the runoff. Now, he's the guy who gives me the heebie-jeebies, because a lot of times there's a lot of hypocrisy within the Herschel Walker here. And I'm surprised he's gotten this far.
Not hypocrisy. The guy's an idiot. Like, he literally is an idiot. Like, there should be a minimum. There should be a minimum IQ requirement, and he doesn't pass it. The guy, you guys know the story, right? He got a fake police ID from his police force as a gag. He thought it was real, and he went around telling people he's like a police officer. I'm like, come on, this guy is not competent to be in office. Fortunately, he's losing. He's losing by like percentage point or more, I think.
No, look, I mean, if we can do a politics podcast, that'd be great, because I think both parties are imploding right now, and you're seeing that all of these Trump-backed candidates, and they all want to be just like Trump, and we're taking his strategy. They've all lost, right? And so he was supposed to make this announcement next Tuesday, potentially announcing he's president. He's not going to do it because he knows that he didn't get the results that he wanted.
Well, I hope he doesn't run. That would be.
Yeah. No, he'll run. It's going to be him and DeSantis fighting it out, and those two will wreck that party. But then the Democrats are actually in a bad position too, because they don't want Biden to run. And the Biden folks hate Kamala Harris, and so they're not going to let her run. So they're going to push Biden out there, and I don't think he's any better than some of these other guys running.
Yeah, but Herschel Walker, I'm surprised he got this far. I was thinking, how in the world is that man in a runoff, and at what point did he qualify to run for office?
Yeah, if you listen to just go and look up any of his debates. If you just go, I mean, the guy is not thinking straight. He does not, like, honestly, in my mind, I'm like, how did he get through high school and college? He must have had someone, well, I guess he didn't graduate college, right? He must have had someone doing his work for him, because he clearly he's just not an educated man. I mean, but again, this is where U.S. politics is these days. It's a popularity contest. It has nothing to do with, your capabilities.
I would say, just by Herschel Walker alone, when you watch him, you're sitting there, if he ever gets elected for office, he is a prime candidate for corruption charges, because he just looks like he's up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I think it's very sad.
One last thing, Pritzker got reelected. He had no one go against him that was very strong. I'm saying, wow, he really won with no challenges.
I'll just say the only thing I picked up, so I don't watch a ton of politics, but I did see we had our first Gen Z elected politician. You guys say there's a 25-year-old,
Yeah.
I think in Florida.
Oh,
that
really? I didn't see that.
That was
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I mean, I like the idea. Again, I do agree with the idea generally of, it shouldn't all be just old people running stuff. And so that was kind of interesting to me, and I did like that.
All right. We'll see you probably on Tuesday, Wednesday, everyone. Week 10, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Good luck.